Hey, what's going on? And welcome back to the Step It Up Entrepreneur podcast. Your host, Tomas Keenan, coming at you today. We've got Jon Ostenson with us. And we were just chatting up here before we were recording the episode. And once again, I failed because we probably should have hit the record button before we hit the record button. And we're just having some really good casual conversation and, going over some of the stuff and the things that Jon and his team has accomplished, and the fact that this dude's a published author, which I love. Myself being a published author, I know what goes into what's required to make that a reality. And we started talking in and around franchises, and this is the area where Jon and his team are absolute experts. And I'm super curious to dive into this with you and learn more about it. And I want to fast track here. And one of the reasons that I want to learn more about it is because recently I had an opportunity presented to me that requires getting involved in the franchise space. So the timing of this conversation and the recording of this podcast couldn't be more perfect, in my opinion. So, sir, welcome to the show. And I'm just grateful to have you here with us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Thomas. Excited about our conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me, from the get-go, were you always in a franchise space, or did you go down a traditional small business path?
Like so many of your listeners, I cut my teeth in the corporate world for many years and had that desire to do something a little more entrepreneurial. And, it took me until about age 36 to step away. And I went from a public company to a private company. And that company was a franchise system. It's called Shelf Genie. I had the opportunity to come in and serve as president. We grew really fast. I was supporting franchisees all across North America. And for me, that was the light bulb moment where I saw, here are all these different types of backgrounds that are getting involved in business ownership. And man, do we provide a lot of support for these guys. A lot of times it was their first time getting into it. So, in some cases they already had businesses and now they were bolting on another one. So long story short, I ended up partnering with a founder. We eventually spun off. We have invested in franchises ourselves. So I'm a multi-brand franchisee as well. And, but we've got good people running them, and it allows me to spend most of my time now helping other entrepreneurs and investors around the country step into business ownership, either for the first time or maybe build out that portfolio through franchising. So absolutely love educating, passionate about the franchise model, and I've just seen it be successful for so many.
Yeah, for sure. So on top of the fact that you have multiple franchises yourself, right? You're a franchisee within your portfolio, but you also have a consulting business in and around the franchise space.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me a little bit about, because listen, there's coaches and consultants for everything on the planet at this point in time, which I think is fantastic. But tell me a little bit more about, what it is, what are the services that you guys provide from a consulting aspect, and why would someone decide to, hey, let me call up Jon and his team and go to work with you guys versus let me just go wing it and figure it out myself?
Yeah. Well, first off, it's entirely free to work with us. You can think of me as a real estate broker for franchises. And if you went directly to a franchise brand, or if you go through us, you're going to pay the same franchise fee. So there's no downside to it. And, we've got the relationships out there. I've been very blessed the last few years. I actually do more placements than any other consultant in the country. And, I say that because it allows me visibility into what's resonating with different backgrounds. Why is it resonating? If you were to just go out there and Google, you're going to come across 4,000 franchise opportunities. Now, for me, I've niched down and taken out food and hotels. I just think those are different animals. So that cuts out roughly half the market, but still it's overwhelming. And some of these brands are household names, many are not. But what's most important is the leadership team behind these, the profit model, the competitive advantages, what are current owners in their system saying. And if you were to just go out there and say, hey, what are the top 100 franchises, and pull down a list from some of these publications, the sad thing is these companies pay to be on that list. And so it's a PR move. And so you're not getting good, credible information, whereas we've got the relationships on the back end. We know that if I'm in the Dallas market like you are oftentimes, what are the top 10 opportunities that are available today that I would want to be looking at if I'm in your shoes? So, we've created a very streamlined process where we take clients through it, and, we present them with opportunities pretty quickly in the process, and give them some color on them, and then hold their hand through the process.
Yeah, it makes sense. So when you guys are looking to work with a client and set them up, what are some of the characteristics that you look out for that say, okay, this person is definitely qualified to become a franchisee, versus, hey, you know what? There's some red flags here. We probably shouldn't proceed.
Yeah, I'll say franchising is not right for everyone. There are those that are too entrepreneurial. I'm a member of EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization. We come across a lot of business owners in there that say, "Hey, I love the idea of franchising," but then once we start talking, I realize you're going to want to put your thumbprints all over this, and it's not going to be a good fit. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of other existing business owners that say, "Hey, we love the idea of starting on third base where a lot of things have already been figured out and in place because we know the heavy lift it takes to do that." And so most business owners, I'd say, are a good fit, but there are some that are not. And then financially as well, I'd say, if you're, if you're below 150,000 net worth, it's probably not time to explore business ownership just yet, at least not in franchising. Let's get a little bit above that. And also, I'd say, think about your local market. Do you live in a decent population base? And I'd say 200,000 plus in the surrounding areas, that you can stand up a business. Certainly think about the role that you want to play in that business. Are you looking to make a jump from the corporate world and run the business full time, or is this, going to be a bolt on to your portfolio? And does it provide synergy to what you currently have, or diversification? There's not necessarily a right answer there. It's just, what is that strategy going in?
Sure. All right. So here's some higher level questions for you, right? For someone like yourself, you get multiple locations, franchises, whatnot. What does it look like for you to stay organized and keep track of all of them? So from like an entity structure, do you have a holding company that then holds everything else, and then from the top, you're running and leading that company with other people in place, kind of like your traditional organizational chart?
Yeah. Again, like so many of your listeners, I've got a lot of different private investments. I invest in mobile homes and self-storage and apartment syndications and energy, in addition to franchising. To me, it's a piece of that portfolio. But no, I've got LLCs around everything, and they have a parent LLC. And there's a little bit of cleanup I'm doing it with our attorney. But
always.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like there's always something going on. But no, that's how I think about it. And again, we're seeing more interest in franchising than we've ever seen. Part of that's COVID caused people to question the path they're on and say, maybe now it's time to step into something. And but many others say, hey, there's interest rates are high and only so many, good real estate deals to be had from an inventory standpoint. We get so many real estate investors reaching out to us. And I'd say probably 75% of our clients invest in real estate as well. There's just a lot of synergies there. So a lot of cash on the sidelines looking for yield in this high inflationary environment. And many love the idea of the tax benefits that come with business ownership, the fact you're building cash flow and building an asset that you can exit one day as well.
I think that's one of the biggest pluses of the franchise model, is because, hey, this is a proven model. And to what you said before, you're not starting from at bat. You're starting from third base. And a lot of the pieces of the puzzle have been put into place for you already. I totally forgot I was going to tell you here, but whatever. So let me switch gears here for a second, and somewhat in line with the third base comment. Marketing and systems and processes and software and all of that kind of stuff. I think that is the biggest attraction for me to a franchise model, because I understand what it takes to put all of that together from a bootstrap small business startup. Right. So are there some franchises, and you don't necessarily have to name names here, are there some franchises that do a better job of putting the structure in place than others, in your opinion?
Yeah, 100%. No, I'd say it's price to play these days. Most have a technology stack already in place that's been customized that you can step into, right? So you're not having to look at third-party software and then customize it. Marketing, that's a huge piece. And and certainly some do it better than others, but I would say not only can they run the digital marketing for you, or maybe they've got a preferred firm that works with their marketing team, does it for you. But one of the huge, oftentimes overlooked values there on the marketing side is they have already set up marketing in all these other similar markets, and they've got large data sets that you step into day one. So your time to get to optimization on your marketing spend is a lot faster. So, end of the day, you're paying a royalty to the franchisor. It's oftentimes 6 to 8% of sales. All that's built into the operating cost. I mean, it nets out to the profitability. So the question you want to ask as you go through the process and you're having these conversations with the franchisors is, what am I getting in exchange for that royalty that I'm paying? And, I would expect them to have a really strong answer around the marketing side and the value that they're producing there, that you would be paying for on your own elsewhere, right? And then kind of going down the list, their ability to train your manager for you, their ability to buy bulk goods at a discount, whether it be products or maybe vendor suppliers, on the services side. So, there's just a lot of things that we kind of work through with our clients on how to evaluate them.
Yeah. So when you work with the clients, and this may be more on the franchise side of the house than what you guys are doing, but are you helping them source locations for the real estate portion of it, or is that does that have to get approved by the franchisor?
Yeah, so kind of all the above. So early on, let's just say, you're targeting Frisco or Plano, again, kind of using your example.
Yep.
I'm going to, before I show you any opportunities, and you've told me those are the markets you want to target.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure with the franchisors that I present to you that they've got good availability in those markets, or else it's not a good use of anyone's time. Beyond that, and I get that information from the franchisors. Beyond that, the franchisor would carry the water on the location. I mean, they've got the demographics at the zip code level and all that sort of detail. Oftentimes, they do partner with real estate firms. Now, some of the businesses that clients are getting into are brick and mortar, kind of what you would think of that customer-facing retail. It's probably top of mind.
Yep.
However, a lot of opportunities our clients are getting into are more service-based, where maybe they don't have a physical location, at least not one that's on the front end that's been built out as a customer-facing retail spot.
Yeah, it could be more of a commercial or an industrial location.
It might be 250,000 territory size, and population is how they defined it, and maybe you have an industrial location over time, like a home and property services. That's a really popular area. Everything from dumpsters to insulation to gutters to floor coatings. People are really gravitated towards that. A lot of these real estate guys have.
Yeah, it makes sense because if they have the franchise, it serves the industry that they're in already. It's kind of a similar situation of what I'm about to dive a little bit deeper into. Is it has alignment with what I'm currently doing in the coaching consulting space.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We can help you out over here too with this extra service that we have, and you're kind of keeping everything all in the family. If you look back at some of the greats, Warren Buffett, for instance, and if you read anything on him, which I'm sure you have, that dude has all these vertically integrated companies that it's one big happy family, and you keep the money in this one giant circle just flowing from one company to the next. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and allows you, other intangible benefits too, like attracting better talent, because now you've got opportunities for them across different organizations that they can get promoted within. I think of a client of mine over in South Carolina. He's got a $35 million portfolio. He's larger than most people are on their path towards that, but he's kind of gotten there. Early 40s, operates 6 franchise businesses across 30 territories. Over time, he's built that up and brought in great talent, and then promoted them and said, "Hey, John, what's the latest franchise you recommend for me?" And he'll go off and start a new location, with a new business. In some cases, there's direct synergy to his existing businesses, and a lot of times there's not, but there's synergy from an employee standpoint. And he gives some equity to a young guy and says, "Hey, go make us proud." And he almost every time comes back and buys more locations later on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's a fantastic way to give back to others as well, right? It's like, hey, I can't do it all, right? And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of people need to get over when it comes to business, right? I just can't do it all myself. And then, okay, cool. We hired some people. We start delegating. Systems and processes are in, which I'm sure they are with the franchise already. But like anything else, any team, any company, any group, the top people will bubble to the surface over time. And that, in my opinion, just gives you the ability to say, okay, let me keep my eye out on these 10, 15, 20 locations that I own, and let's see who the top talent is. And when we see that top talent, we can then start to pick and choose or groom them to take over and say, hey, I'm actually going to put you up in your own spot. I'm going to give you a piece of the pie as well, but you got to show up and you have to prove to me that you actually want this. Right. And if you do that, and if you can figure out a system for that, and you can repeat it and copy and paste it over and over and over again, like there's your client, $35 million portfolio. Like, yeah, it's very plausible. It's very possible.
Definitely. No, people ask me what makes a successful franchisee. Really, the two things I point to, and they're not rocket science, it's your ability to follow a system and execute on it, And then secondly, it's your ability to work with people. I mean, just like with any business, kind of like you're saying, you want to be someone that people want to work for, someone that, vendors want to work with and customers want to work with. And so, it's not rocket science. And, I always say that if you're a business owner or you aspire to have a portfolio of businesses, you may go all franchises like that example, or maybe you start some businesses, totally out of scratch, but they're going to be better off by having had a good franchise in that portfolio, because you're going to learn the steps it takes to stand up a business and what the best practices are. Of course, in that franchise, you also get the benefit of talking to other franchisees who are living the same thing day in, day out, and you're constantly exchanging best practices on where to hire the best people, how to incentivize them, what are good referral partners out there in the market to help drive that lead generation. So there's just a lot. This is so cliche, but it's so true. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Yep, I agree with that. To me, it seems like from the outside looking in, because I don't have a ton of experience here, the franchisees within the brand, from my opinion, it looks like they put together and act as if they're in their own little mastermind, right? We may not see each other often. Maybe there's a conference that we meet each other at once, twice a year. We get together, we have phone calls, we have Zooms, whatever, and we share this information back and forth with an abundance mindset. Hey, this is working for me over here in Atlanta. It'll probably work for you over there in Texas, or this will probably work for you up there in Vineland, New Jersey, right? That to me is just awesome. Right. And we see it. I see it a lot in the small business space outside of the franchise space. But I think it's just awesome when you can speak to someone who literally does the same exact thing you do, follows the same exact systems and processes that you do, right, within probably the rules and regulations that are in place by the franchisor, right? And then the benefit of that is just magical.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you see? Because you mentioned before there's oftentimes you meet people that are too much on the entrepreneurial side to really work well within the franchise. What do you see as the biggest issue there? Do they say, hey, this is the system, I like it, but I want to make it mine?
I think it's that they come in and they think they're the smartest guy in the room. And let's be honest, you want to surround yourself with the smartest guys in the room. And I tell people that when I was a franchisor at Shelf Genie, I got to see owners across North America living the same thing day in, day out. What did the best ones do? What did the middle of the pack and the bottom ones? Again, it sounds cliche, but it's true. There's a reason why you're buying into a franchise. There's a proven system. So if you go in and you execute on that system, those are our top franchisees. They follow the system most closely. So I'd say it's the minority of people that franchising is not a good fit for. The vast majority, I say it is a fit. I mean, my book, Non-Food Franchising, the subtitle is The Better Path to Business Ownership, because I truly believe that for many out there, if you're all about tech startups, maybe it's not for you. Granted, we do have a lot of tech guys involved, but I just think there's so many positives. And we mentioned home and property services earlier, but it's categories like health and wellness, automotive, fitness, big areas that we're seeing growth in right now. Kids, pets, seniors, things that I would call somewhat recession resilient. People are always going to spend money on those categories of the things they care about. And so just all different types of backgrounds. And the fun thing is when I go through 10 opportunities with a client, oftentimes it's the one that was number 3 or 4 in their mind going into the process that they end up choosing. They have those light bulb moments. They say, wait a minute, hadn't thought about it that way. And so it's a lot of fun just to see different backgrounds getting involved in different industries. Oftentimes they see just the opportunity in the market for.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk about your book for a bit. First off, where can people find it?
Yeah. So if you come out to our website, franbridgeconsulting.com, just leave your email address. We'll send you several downloadable links for different versions of the book, audio and PDF and such. Certainly you can go out to Amazon or Audible, any of those. If you do purchase it out there online, all the profits go to a great nonprofit that we support, Hope International, that we really believe in. We've been on mission trips with. They do a lot of good work around the world on behalf of entrepreneurs. So certainly feel free to do that. But if you like the free version, come out to our website.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about the process. Like, what inspired you to go down the path and take on the project of writing a book? Because you and I both know it's a project.
I said it was a labor of love, and it released just over a year ago. And Thomas, it's done everything I hoped it would do. It would. I'd say the majority of my clients have already read it by the time we get on a call, and so it's just, it fills in the blanks in their understanding. It gets the juices flowing around types of ideas, helps them understand how the financials work. What does the relationship with the franchisor look like? How does the exploration process look like? What are the best practices? We just get into everything. I've got a chapter where I compare franchising to startups. What are the pros and cons? What are the trade-offs to ETA or entrepreneurship through acquisition? Many of our clients reach out also looking at buying an existing business. Much more than 50% end up going with the franchise route after we work together. It's really interesting. But no, it's been great education wise. It gets awareness out there. And so oftentimes when I say franchise, people think fast food. And so the fact it's titled non-food franchising, I think raises some interest and exposes people to this world that oftentimes isn't on your radar.
Yeah, I think the very valid point there. I think that until people start digging in and really taking a look at what companies and what businesses are actually franchises, they just don't know. And if you don't know, you don't know,
It's an $800 billion industry, with about 8 million employees across 800,000 locations in the US. So your point's very valid.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So the book, it came out last year. Let's dive into the tactical piece of the behind the scenes of the book. So you have this idea, you know what you want to write about. What was the path like for you? What did it look like when it came to finding an editor, putting the content together, editing the book, which in my opinion was the hardest part, and then launching it?
Yeah, a lot of the content was in my head. I didn't have to reach too far for it. It's stuff I've been speaking on and preaching for years, but I've got the client case studies I was able to pull in. So for me, from a tactical standpoint, I pulled together each chapter, a whole bunch of bullet points of the content I wanted included. I did partner with a ghostwriter that just helped finesse that and pull it into neater paragraphs than what I put together. But I've got to be honest, a lot of the editing, because I'm a control freak, was done by me. So even though I had an outside book service that did the editing, supposedly, I did the heavy lifting around that. And it was world doesn't slow down when you write a book. So I was waking up early on Saturday and Sunday mornings before the kids were up, just pounding out content, probably over a 6-month period. And but I did work with a great book publishing company that really helped me with everything from the graphic design to the layout to like I said, the editing. So a group called Axel. I'm happy to make any introductions if people are interested.
Yeah, that's awesome. Similar process with me. I think start to finish was about 8 months. And I dragged my feet in the middle. That's where the extra 2 months came from. So I think 6 months is very realistic, start to finish. And you're going to work your tail off to do it because like you mentioned, life as a parent, life as a husband or a wife, as a business owner, like that stuff doesn't go away just because you decide to take on an additional project. So
life speeds up. I always joke that life speeds up too when you're looking at businesses. Whenever you add something new to the plate, it's like, oh my gosh, boss is calling with more demands, or the kids have this going on. And
I don't know how you are about it, but I tend to work better when there's a lot going on. Because when there's not a lot going on, I can get lazy real easy. And once I get lazy, it's hard to get remotivated again. But if we stay in that motivated or that constant state, bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. Physics rule, right? We can just keep going, and we accomplish a lot of amazing things. And one of the rules that I have, and I talk about it often, is just small steps forward daily, right? Like you don't have to hit a home run, you don't have to hit a grand slam every day to call it a win. But if you succeed and you get one step closer towards that big end goal that you have, or the target for this week or this month, like you won the day, right? And check it off and mark it down as a win and keep going.
Love that. The phrase I often use is activity breeds activity. So it's staying in motion. That's when good things happen.
Yeah, I like that too. Activity breeds activity. I like it. What do you do to keep yourself motivated? Because there's got to be times where you're just like, hey man, I'm just done. I'm burned out. I need a break. I'm out people. I don't want to talk to a human being. Like what happens then? And then how do you get yourself remotivated?
Yeah. Where I chalk up the wins is when I've got clients that are coming back buying additional locations or additional businesses, or they're referring their brother to me. I love hearing those stories of success and just the life change. And so that's inspirational right there. So that keeps me going. The financial side has been very good over the years. It's been hockey stick growth the last few years. I mean, literally hockey stick growth. And for a number of reasons. And so, yeah, just love being able to help. I love growing. I love growing personally.
Yeah.
I'm involved in several masterminds as well. And, just so much value there. So I'm fairly self-motivated. Not everyone could do what you do and what I do, but I figure out how to tap into that energy and then do a lot on the health and wellness side and balance great family time too. So it's all about being well-rounded.
Yeah. The health and wellness was a big piece for me. I started late in life. I let myself go for a long time, and I didn't realize how much it was hurting me. And how much harder I had to work to actually make things happen, which I look back at it now and I'm like, man, how did I ever get anything done?
Especially at our age, right? You and I are the same age here. So we have to watch it closely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure we do. But I'll tell you what, once I started to dial in the health and fitness and the wellness piece of it, that made a world of difference. And I don't know how you feel about this or what your opinions are. And I'd be more than happy to let you talk on it. This is one of the benefits of working your tail off and making some good money. Okay. Because you get to go and you get to work with wellness doctors that your insurance normally doesn't pay for.
Yeah.
And when you do so, they unlock a whole new level that we just wouldn't know is an option or available. And when I started doing that a couple of years ago, I started taking care of me about 6 years ago. And it was about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago when I started working with the wellness doctors. And that was just like, that was my hockey stick growth on the health and wellness aspect of my life.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I track everything on the Whoop and the Apple Watch, and health is wealth is what one of my friends says. And I've made the decision in the past few years to really double down, and I do the blood testing every quarter. I work out with a trainer, and then I've got the infrared sauna and the cold plunge and red light therapy, all that jazz. Hopefully it's working. I don't know, but experts say so. But I love tracking metrics around HRV and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And learning. It's really been a hobby for me. So I love that you're doing that as well.
Yeah. I just took a food sensitivity test about 2 weeks ago. And it's like, it's wild because I've done all of this work in the wellness aspect and I haven't gone into the food sensitivity stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go. Went online, ordered one. It was like $300 delivered to the door. Comes in a little kit, and they give you a little tool to prick your finger, and you have to drop 10 droplets of blood onto this card.
Yep.
Just mail it back in. So 7 or 8 days go by, and they give you an app you put in your phone. I get an alert on the app on the phone. It's like, your results are back. Here it is. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to look at this because they're going to tell me I can't eat like red meat or something, or chicken or bacon. And I'm going to lose my mind. So I open it up, and they have them ranked from levels 1 through 3. So 3 being the ones that your body really cannot tolerate. And I was very happy. I came back with nothing at level 3.
Good.
But level 2 and level 1, I had a couple of things that came back, and it really surprised me. Because normally we just think of them as healthy foods, which they are, but they're not healthy for me. My body does not like them. And the one that rubbed me the wrong way the most, bananas.
Really?
So bananas for me, that goes in my protein shake every morning.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore, but it did. Right. So I had to remove bananas from my diet. The other one was asparagus, hummus, and vanilla.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anything that's made with vanilla extract, no bueno. And I'm a coffee drinker like you, and I can't do it black. I'm not that manly. And vanilla creamer was my jam, and can't do it anymore. Wow. So yeah,
well, good for you though. It takes discipline to act on those results. So
yeah, it does. It's like, hey, okay, you had the idea, and you decided, okay, I'm going to spend a couple bucks. I'm going to go and get this test. I'm going to go. So I want the data. Now, what do we do once we have the executable data? And this is a lesson that can apply health and wellness in business as well. You want to go do a deep dive into your company, you get all this data back, and now someone helps you go through it so you understand it. Well, what are you going to do with it now?
Yeah. No, knowledge is power is what they say, but I forget how the line goes, but it's around, what you do with that knowledge, right? Is what really matters.
Yeah, for sure. What's next for you, sir?
Yeah, just gearing up for a big year ahead. We've got a good bit of travel, a lot of exciting things on the franchise front. I mean, there's so many great opportunities around like men's health and testosterone replacement. That's a huge area.
Yeah.
Just health and wellness. in these different categories. So I'm excited about the franchisors that are now entering into growth mode that we're going to be able to help. I'm excited about, I've got a new AI generated newsletter that's coming out starting next week. I think it's going to provide a lot of content to our clients every week, just curating some of the best news out there that's all positive. But we just see the same momentum that we've seen the last couple of years carrying into next year for a lot of different reasons. We've never seen so much interest. So again, that's what gets me passionate is being able to help others step into business ownership for the first time or maybe, for a second or third or fourth time.
Yeah. When does someone know they're ready to come see you and have the conversation?
Yeah, I'd say certainly, again, get the book. That's a great kind of primer, and that'll help you know when you're ready as well. But I'd say, if you're interested in buying a business, maybe in the next 6 months, it's not that you're committing to do that, but I think that would be a good kind of timing point. If it's a year from now, probably doesn't make sense to engage just yet. Let's stay on each other's radars, just because opportunities in your market are going to be sold out by the time we look at them. So why look at them now? But I've got a lot of good content out there, different podcasts and such out there on our website on framebridgeconsulting.com that, again, people can get the juices flowing, get some content, fill in some gaps in understanding and go from there.
Love it. Sir, I appreciate you coming in here today.
Enjoyed it, Thomas.
You dropped some serious value and, educated and opened my eyes up to a couple of things on the franchise side of the house. And I just want to say thank you for coming in and spending some time with us here. It's right before Christmas. We got Christmas coming in a week from now, and I'm sure you're going to be busy with the family for the holidays and whatnot, and same over here. And this is just a crazy time of year. But once again, thank you for spending some time with me here this morning and giving some fantastic value to the listeners. And I'm sure that people are going to reach out to you, go grab the book and go check out the website. We've got some active people over here that actually take action from some of the content that they receive over here at Step It Up Entrepreneur. And once again, thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Thomas.
Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Step It Up Entrepreneur podcast. Make sure you head over to stepitupentrepreneur.com and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Step It Up Entrepreneur podcast.